Buckle up, girls. I think it is finally time for us to do a little life catch up. I'm not new to content creation. I have podcasted a lot over the years. I've recorded videos. This YouTube channel, if you're watching on YouTube, is not new. It has gone through a lot of iterations throughout the years of me just trying to figure out who I am and what I want. So if you are new here, welcome to Doing Well with Alicia. I am so happy to have you here, and I hope that I live up to your expectations, but also welcome back to those who have been here. And I know you're like, girl, you changed again. Yes, I have. And I'm going to tell you why in this video, because life has kicked my ass, but it has created this beautiful life that I'm currently rebuilding. And I figured now is the perfect time for us to just dig back into this and reintroduce ourselves before we kick off, this relationship that we have. And honestly, if you have been here for a while, the Alicia that was here just a few years ago, I am no longer that girl. Even the Alicia who recorded videos just a year ago, like she's no longer her. I am in a season of my life where I am a lot softer. I am intentionally moving slower. And honestly, I'm a lot wiser, which is strange, than I was even just a few months ago. And I really want to share with you what has shifted and how this is all leading up to how I'm building my business and living my life now. But let me back up a little bit before we get into the shifts, because this shift did not happen overnight. So y'all, I have been going through it. Like the last 2 years has really beat my behind over and over and over again. But I'm finally in a position now where I can look back at those years and all of the disappointments, all of the pain, all of the heartbreak, all of those experiences that I have, they are finally starting to make sense. Like I realized that I had to go through that to get to where I am now. I am ambitious as hell. I always have been. I've always had a goal I wanted to achieve. I've always had ideas and things that I've wanted to launch and I wanted to work on. And I have always wanted people to see me as the girl who had her shit together, the girl who was taking care of her home, was taking care of her kid, was taking care of her husband, was being an absolute boss in her business, and, was just killing it in all of these different areas. And for so many years, in order to keep up that perception, I think my whole identity was wrapped around, I work hard, I push through, I get it done. I work hard, I push through, I get it done. I was constantly in that cycle, and by any means necessary, I was working hard, I was pushing through, and I was getting it done. And then I became a mom. If you're a mom out there, no, this channel isn't specifically for mothers, but if you are a mom, then you know that motherhood has a way of exposing the things in you that you have been either trying to hide, ignore, or repress. So being a mom quickly showed me that I was mentally, physically, and emotionally unwell. And I had been for a really long time. Being stuck in that cycle of work hard, push through, get it done, did a number on my entire well-being. And I was so caught up in that cycle and so caught up in the monotony of work hard, push through, get it done, that it took something breaking that cycle, having a kid, for me to realize just how unwell I really was. But even though I knew I was not well physically, mentally, and emotionally, I was still trying to force myself to keep up with that identity that I built. I was still trying to show up for everyone. I was still trying to do it all. I was still trying to grind and work hard and, by any means necessary. And all of that worked until postpartum depression hit, and I literally hit the worst case of burnout that I've ever experienced. I'm talking, I could not form a complete sentence. My brain felt like mush. I was irritable and always irritated and overstimulated. I would burst out into tears for no absolute reason. And going through postpartum depression and really experiencing that burnout really forced me to realize that while my life looked good on paper, it no longer felt like it belonged to me. I was a shell of a person. I would wake up and put a smile on my face, take care of my kid, run the household, work on the business. But I was not there. I was not there. I was like a robot just going through the movements of the day, but I no longer belonged to myself. But even knowing that, I was stubborn. Like, I did not want to let go of this perception and of this life that I had built, because honestly, at this time, all I knew was running a business. All I knew was hustling and working hard. And I had been that, pregnant woman who was like, I am not going to change my life for a baby. I am going to do all of the things I set out and do, and a baby will just have to fit into my life. And if you are a person of faith, you know that if you try and cling on to an identity that isn't yours anymore, that is no longer serving you, is not a place where you should be, then you know that God, or whoever you choose to believe in, will burn it down one piece at a time. If you are forcing yourself into an identity that is no longer serving you, God will tear it down bit by bit. And baby, let me tell you, he burnt everything down, everything. So I ended up completely closing down my coaching business to really focus on healing, because I knew that if I wanted to break the cycle that I was in, the only way I could truly heal was to shut it all down. So I did. I then got a full-time job because I thought that was the answer. I'm burnt out, but I still need to make money. So I'm going to get this job, and bringing home a paycheck is going to work wonders on my mental health. And it did, until I got fired. I am currently going through a divorce from the person who I literally thought was my soulmate. I moved out and sold the home that I thought that my daughter would grow up in. I am also now my mom's part-time, full-time caregiver. Plus, I am building a wellness tech company, and I have literally no idea what I am doing. So yeah, I am a hot mess. God literally burnt down every piece of the life I thought I wanted. But let me tell you, I am the happiest I have been, and the most myself that I have ever been in my entire life. I am so happy. And even though there has been so much chaos happening around me, and I'm constantly feeling like I'm putting out little tiny fires everywhere, I have learned so much being in this season of burning it all down and rebuilding from scratch. And it's really changed how I want to help entrepreneurs within my business doing everyday well, and also changed how I want to create content too, and the type of content that I want to create. So I'm learning that doing well isn't about balance, it is about capacity. We have all of these conversations as entrepreneurs who may also be mothers or wives or still working a 9-to-5, and have we have these conversations about how do you balance it all? How do you balance? What does work-life balance look like to you? And I don't think we should be focusing so much on balance as much as we should be focusing on capacity. Women entrepreneurs are so quick to say yes to everything, to every demand, to every request, to every new marketing strategy that is now trending. We are so quick to be there for everyone and everything, but the problem with that is we say yes before we actually check in with ourselves. We say yes, or we agree to take on something new before we even ask ourselves, do I have the capacity to handle all of this right now? So it's more about focusing on what you have the capacity to do instead of focusing on how am I going to balance it all. Another thing, wellness isn't an aesthetic. It is survival. Doing life well is not about showing up perfectly. It's not about getting it all right. It's not about looking good on Instagram or on YouTube or wherever it is that you're showing up. It is about making your well-being a priority instead of a reward that you earn for being productive. I talk to a lot of entrepreneurs, and I have been doing a lot of market research over the past year just about how women entrepreneurs specifically view rest, view burnout, view hustle, and how hard we're working. And so many entrepreneurs have told me that they feel like they don't deserve to rest, or they have the right to rest unless they have accomplished their full to-do list. Or I've been told plenty of times that I don't feel like I can rest until I have reached a certain level of success in my business. And those are all lies that we have been told, that we must earn the rest that we need. But no, rest is survival. You cannot give to everybody that you have to give to if you are running on E. And we have to stop looking at wellness as like this pretty aesthetic where you're seeing all the neutral tones, the Pilates, the spa days, the face masks. Those things are cool, but we need to take away the prettiness of wellness and get down to the nitty gritty of viewing wellness as a survival tactic. And also, this is the part that no one actually tells you, and this is what no one told me, is that your identity gets to change. I mentioned how I was operating in an identity that was no longer serving me and it all got burnt down. But nobody tells you that that identity that you had 10 years ago, it gets to change. So I am learning who I am outside of the titles that I held or once held. So outside of being a mom, a wife, an entrepreneur, a content creator, a caregiver, a writer, a music enthusiast, like I'm learning to detach from those titles. And I'm also learning that you are allowed to change your mind about what you want. If something is no longer serving you, you have the right to let it go. If you wake up tomorrow and you say, I don't like the life I have been living, I don't like who I've been with, I don't like how I've been treated, you have the right to change. You can change your identity. Now, I'm not saying turn into like a completely different person, but if it takes that, then do it. You are not a tree. You can move. We are not meant to stay the same. We are constantly evolving. The world around us is constantly changing. Our desires and our hopes and our dreams are always shifting from one thing to another. And I believe that what has so many of us stuck is that we stay where we are no longer happy. We stay where we're no longer valued. We stay in places that are no longer serving us. And we stay there because of fear. We are afraid to see what is on the other side. But I want us, not just women entrepreneurs, but women in general, to break out of that guilt of saying, I don't want this anymore. And lastly, creativity and joy matter as well. So for so long, I felt creatively stifled. And it wasn't until I took my summer sabbatical this past year. If you follow me on Instagram, you've seen me. It took this summer sabbatical this summer, and it wasn't until I took that much needed break that I began to feel creative again. And this time I knew that I wanted to create in a way that was fun. I don't want to be stuck in the cycle of these are my 5 tips to be more productive. And these are the 6 ways that you should market your business in the new year. Like, those are great. There is a time and a space and a place for all of that type of content. But for me, baby, I am bored. I'm bored. I am bored with that same type of content. So I am leaning into creativity and joy again because I don't think we put enough emphasis on doing things just for the hell of it. Doing things just because it makes you happy. Doing things because it sparks creativity or it feels fun or interesting for us to do. As women, we get caught in like this monotony of every day, and we have this list and a routine, and I just want us to have more fun, whether that be in the content that you create, in the products you make, in how you parent, and how you go about dating or in your relationships. I just want us to have more fun and freedom to not be stuck in a box at all times, which is why I am shifting the content for this channel to focus on the whole woman and not just the woman who is building a business. You have so many other amazing things going on for you, and I want you to have a space where we can talk about entrepreneurship and wellness and lifestyle and confidence and relationships and your creativity and all of those conversations that you're probably already having in your group chat. I want to have those conversations here because you are so much more than the person who runs a business. You're so much more than the shop owner or the coach. You are a whole person, and I want us to have a space where we can freely talk about that and have those intimate conversations. So after everything that life has thrown at me over the past 2 years, here is what I want to leave you with today. You don't need to reinvent your whole life. You just need to give yourself permission to evolve, permission to be selfish. And I am determined to create a new generation of selfish women entrepreneurs and to take away the negative stigma or reputation that being selfish has. I want you to prioritize yourself because when women thrive, everything around them thrives as well. So before we go, what's one part of your life that no longer fits who you're becoming? If it's private, I want you to journal through that. But if you want to share, please drop it in the comments. And if you're in your own season of becoming or a season of transformation, please don't forget to hit subscribe wherever you may be watching or listening, because we are going to be having more conversations just like this each and every week.